We're here today to talk about pediatric acquired brain injury. It includes many different categories, one of which is the commonly known shaken baby syndrome. That is a horror for any parent, and especially for the victim, an innocent child dependent upon a caretaker and injured for life. With our technology the way it is, with our society as advanced as we are, this is a matter of awareness, because I have the utmost confidence in the American people and the technology advancements that we have in research and medicine. We are the most advanced medical system in the world. And I do believe strongly that with awareness and attention to this particular injury, we are able to come up with ways of improving quality of life, if not curing what ails these people. It encompasses people of all ages. It encompasses military veterans returning home from war. It's a broad spectrum of our population who are touched by these kinds of brain injuries. And traumatic brain injury is also included. I have some statistics I can lend to the discussion. These were provided to me by Craig Sears, who is a voice for traumatic brain injury. He's standing over here to my left, and he has a white cap on. He provided these statistics. PABI is the leading cause of death and disability for children and young adults from birth through 25 years of age in the United States. Over 5,000 deaths occur annually due to PABI, and over 17,000 annually suffer from permanent disability due to these injuries. Over 1 million are hospitalized each year due to PABI, and in addition, since most brains aren't fully developed until age 25, many of the military veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan with TBI, traumatic brain injury, are actually considered also PABI. Pediatric acquired brain injuries include all traumatic causes, plus brain injuries caused by brain tumors, strokes, meningitis, insufficient oxygen, poisoning, ischemia, and even substance abuse. It's a broad spectrum of the population that we're addressing when we address this particular matter. It's of particular significance to me as a candidate for Congress in Congressional District 6 because I'm told, and you will hear from another speaker shortly, that there is a congressman who is blocking the progress on legislation which would bring public awareness about these injuries and the prescribed course of treatment, which is very structured and very attainable. And that happens to be my opponent in my race for Congress, Congressman Frank Pallone. So at this point, I'm going to turn over this program to the father of Sarah Jane, who is my special guest today. Go ahead, Patrick. It's Patrick.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna. We appreciate everybody coming out this morning. As Anna mentioned, pediatric acquired brain injury is the #1 leading cause of death and disability. To put things into perspective, if you think about HIV/AIDS, which has about 35,000 to 40,000 new occurrences every single year, and the federal government invests over $3 billion annually in federal research towards HIV/AIDS. And as Anna just outlined to you, the statistics for kids and young adults in this country with acquired brain injury is in the millions every single year. And the average federal research budget for pediatric acquired brain injury is less than $100 million. What we did with the Sarah Jane Brain Foundation, as Anna mentioned, my daughter Sarah Jane was now 5 years old. When she was just 5 days old, she was violently shaken by her baby nurse, breaking 4 ribs, both collarbones, and causing a severe brain injury. She's currently 5. She cannot crawl, walk, or speak words, although we're very hopeful and optimistic that someday she will. What we did is, after about a year of taking care of the daily routine of Sarah Jane, I started research to do as much research as possible on the causes, on the prevention, on the systems of care. And what we found out is that the systems of care for these kids and families is arbitrary from state to state. It's random from school district to school district, and it's a complete crapshoot from one doctor's office to another. And we found out that this system of care was so arbitrary, and we started to look to see what government was doing, and what we found out is that it was a fractured system. And so what we did with the Sarah Jane Brain Foundation is we didn't rely upon the government to act. We collectively reached out to all the leading experts around the country who deal and treat these children and families. And about a year and a half ago, we put together an advisory board of leading experts from all over the country, which developed the National Pediatric Acquired Brain Injury Plan, which develops a seamless, standardized, evidence-based system of care that's universally accessible for these millions of kids and families, regardless of where they live in the country. And last October, we introduced into the Congress concurrent resolution, which doesn't appropriate any funds, doesn't change any laws, but in essence, what we basically want to do is get a political consensus. Since we had the families and the medical community a consensus, we want to get a political consensus around this plan. And so Congressman Butterfield from North Carolina, along with 47 other original co-sponsors, introduced H Concurrent Resolution 198, which recognizes pediatric acquired brain injury as the #1 leading cause of death and disability, which has Congress endorsing the National Pediatric Acquired Brain Injury Plan, and has Congress encouraging federal and state local governments to implement it. Since then, we now have well over 110 members of Congress. The standard within the Congress is once you reach 100 co-sponsors, that shows a wide, broad-based support that those measures are then moved through the committee and then allowed an up or down vote in the Congress. Since March of this year, we've had over 100 co-sponsors, and Congressman Pallone, who's the chairman of the Subcommittee on Health and the Energy and Commerce Committee, him and his staff have been blocking and not allowing this measure to have its due vote on the floor of the House. And as many of you in the media have known, we've been calling him out on it. I've met with Congressman Pallone 3 times on 3 separate occasions, and to date, he's not acted on it. And we're very, very thankful for Anna Little. Hey. See, I mentioned Congressman Frank Pallone. Yeah, I won't say his name again, okay? This is a broad-based, bipartisan support. We have conservative stalwarts like Congressman Pete Sessions, who's the chairman of the Congressional Republican Campaign Committee out of Texas, and Sue Myrick, who's the former chairwoman of the Republican Study Committee out of North Carolina, and liberal icons like Patrick Kennedy and Jim McGovern all are on board. This is a bipartisan effort, a collaborative effort, and for some reason or another, Congressman Frank Pallone refuses to allow this resolution its due vote. And we're very grateful and thankful for Anna Little. Sarah Jane is here this morning because she's thrown her support to Anna Little and asking for all of her friends and family and people in the community who care about kids and families with brain injuries to support Anna Little, and that's why she's here.
Thank you very much. I want to call attention to one other person who's here. Her name is Kim Illians, and she has a child with a disability. I'd like you to come up and talk a little bit about that.
I'm Kim Illians. I have a 5-year-old son who was born with hydrocephalus. Hydrocephalus, although it's not part of PABI, children who have PABI can develop hydrocephalus. It's where excess water forms in your brain, and these children require shunting for the rest of their lives. Our military that's coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan, many of those soldiers who have TBIs are developing hydrocephalus and will also be shunted for the rest of their lives. Patrick is a good friend of ours, and we totally support Sarah Jane and all the work that he does. And we had a resolution in Congress ourselves to have a National Awareness Month for our organization. And the fact that Congressman Pallone is not supporting this resolution is, I have no words for it. So we definitely put our support behind Anna Little, and we just hope that this moves forward. These children need it. They're our future. Thank you.
Okay. That concludes our presentation. I will close up with these comments. For Sarah Jane and her future, we look at Craig Sears, who's a survivor. He walks, he talks, and I encourage each and every one of you to have a conversation with Craig, because if he had not told me that he was a TBI survivor, I would never have known. I would never have known. That's the hope I have for Sarah Jane and for Kim's little boy and for anybody who's having any kind of an illness that disables them at a young time in their life. You see, unlike Congressman Frank Pallone and those who are putting forward the progressive movement in this nation and the healthcare law that might very well have cost-effectiveness panels decide what kind of treatment we fund, what kind of treatment people receive. Unlike those people, I believe, and I hope all of my supporters believe, that every human life is valuable. Sarah Jane is a beautiful little girl, and we owe it to this beautiful little girl to use every ounce of technology that we have as a society to make her quality of life the maximum possible. She already has a lot to share with us. We just need to give her the words so we can hear what she has to say. Thank you very much. Did you want to say something, Craig? Come on up, Craig.
As a survivor of a traumatic brain injury, I'd like to say that for myself, I wish upon that July afternoon 20 years ago that there was a national PABI plan in place for me. I wish that the states, the doctors, the nurses, the cops, the judges, the people whoever had the power over me had a clue about traumatic brain injury. I wish that when I needed it, there were people to turn to, answers to the questions I didn't even know I had, and the resources in place for me. I wonder how different my life would be today.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you very much. I would definitely like a photo with all of you,
Absolutely.
so I can feel like I've done something worthwhile before even being elected.
On the other side of the shirt.
Okay.
And we'll get the two roses in the
Oh, you're sweet.